Yo, what is going on guys? Welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to be doing a little bit of a different video. I've been doing a lot of thought part recently, so I'm just going to clean the slate. We're going to be doing a towers video today. So I'm just going to be taking a quick deep dive into the history of the secret weapons at Alton Towers. Now if you don't know what the secret weapons are, they are the code names for the big major coasters / attractions at Alton Towers. And today we're just going to be taking a look at their history and, you know, what happened in their development. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so to start off this list, we are going to be talking about Secret Weapons 1 and 2. Now the reason why I'm doing 1 and 2 together is because these were basically the same project. You'll get what I mean in a second. So, way back before Nemesis was even built, there were plans on making a new coaster. Now, obviously this would replace the Thunder Looper, that was obviously, you know, they wanted to have something new, right? That's what a lot of theme parks do, that's not uncommon. So, John Wardley, the designer of Nemesis and quite a few other rides in Alton Towers, he was setting out to design a Arrow pipeline coaster around a military experiment. Sort of like what we got with Nemesis, but just a completely different coaster. Now, if you don't know what Arrow pipelines are, they're a really weird type of coaster where you sort of sit inside the track. It's very, very weird. If you want to have a look it up yourself. They are quite interestingly built coasters, but that's not the topic of today's video. So he wanted to make this coaster, but it ended up with Alton Towers restrictions and money that it was not able to be developed. They put it on hold, and these main reasons being the fact that obviously they had restrictions to the heights. Their track would only be 300 feet long, and the fact that their financial issues weren't exactly there at that point. Obviously it's not what we see it today as. This was back when it was like its early stages of, you know, being alive. So obviously it's understandable they wouldn't have a lot of money. But the thing is, this was put on hold, but then a year later, they revived it. They were like, right, let's try and get this pipeline coaster done. So they built it, they got a prototype ready. So John Wardley, he flew out, went to see it, and he did not like it. This was his first creation, obviously big creation at the park. Obviously there were other creations at the park before then, but obviously this is where it really started to kick off. This was obviously Nemesis was the big thing. So he looked at it, he was just like, it's too slow, it's too boring. He was like, this will not work. And he just like, right, I need a clean slate. So obviously these secret weapons were the early stages of these code names. Obviously the secret weapon spawned from the fact it's going to be, you know, themed around a military base. So obviously Secret Weapon 1 was the original plans for this Arrow pipeline coaster, and when it got revived, that then led to Secret Weapon 2, and then obviously the one we're going to talk about next is Secret Weapon 3 that eventually led to Nemesis. Okay, so next thing I'm going to talk about is Secret Weapon 3, also known as Nemesis. So Nemesis was a really interesting ride, and its development was, you know, a lot better than Secret Weapons 1 and 2 would have ever been. Now, this all started when John Wardley visited Batman the Ride out in America, which was obviously manufactured by B&M, and was one of the first inverted coasters in the world. So he got talking to B&M as he was really interested in this type of ride and how it worked, and then he started to spark and think, wow, this could actually really work at Alton Towers. So he started, you know, making the plans, he started designing it, and then it got to a stage of development where it was like, yeah, this is going to be brilliant. This is going to bring joy to all of our customers. So obviously with a great ride, you've got to have a great name to go along with it. So him and Nick Varney created the name Nemesis, which obviously was probably a bit underrated at the time. But obviously where we sit now, Nemesis is one of the most iconic theme park ride names ever. Obviously not only at Alton Towers, but at Thor Park as well with Nemesis Inferno. So it was safe to say development was going really well. So obviously Alton Towers knew how big this ride was going to be, so they were just like, right, I want merchandise, I want comics, I want stories, I want a lot. So Nemesis was obviously created around an alien, so this was really sparked up some stories and some comic books and really got fans interested and intrigued. So obviously with all the merchandise and that, this was the ride that really kicked that off. If this ride hadn't really been built, I don't know what they would have done. There would not be as much merchandise in the park as we see now. And it was going really well, so just before opening, obviously there was a lot of press around it, and fans got really excited about this ride. So then the time came, eventually on the 19th of March 1994, Secret Weapon 3 was released to the public. Now it was really well accepted, everybody loved it, it really put Alton Towers on the map. And obviously John Wardley was proud of his work, Alton Towers were proud of their work, and they were job done until Secret Weapon 4 came around. Okay, so like I said, the next weapon we're going to talk about is Secret Weapon 4. Now this obviously became Oblivion. Now Oblivion is one of my favourite rides in the UK and pretty much in the world, so I haven't really done anything else. It was a really interesting concept. Obviously, it had the dive coaster element and did spark, you know, other coasters like it. Obviously, people say, oh, it isn't as good as this dive coaster, but when you think about it, it did spark off the type of coaster that no one had ever seen before. And obviously that was incorporated within its design. Obviously there was a lot of excitement when the track was being placed because no one knew what was going on. Obviously that had to dig a massive hole because obviously Alton Towers had the height restriction, and it was one of the rides that was really interesting to, you know, see how it was developed. Now obviously there was a lot of excitement around this ride, obviously being the second roller coaster after Nemesis. It was a big deal. So they had websites, they had cards, they had actors roaming around, acting as security guards, telling people to clear the area. And obviously when it was released, it was probably one of the most gobsmacking rides, but it was not well received by some people. Some people didn't like the fact it was too short, some people didn't like the fact that it didn't really feel as big and as grand as Nemesis. And to be quite honest, in my eyes, I feel like it's better than Nemesis. I know it's going to really annoy a lot of people, but I'm more into them sort of short and sweet rides, you know, like Stealth at Thorpe Park. Now obviously Secret Weapon 4, you know, really started to get things going. Obviously now people knew that, wow, this is their new code name, because obviously it was still called Secret Weapon. And after this, obviously we've got Secret Weapon 5, which was probably one of the most weirdest developed rides in history of Alton Towers, and we're going to get into that right now. Okay, so time to talk about Secret Weapon 5. Now, like I said, this has got really weird development stages, and this is obviously talking about Air. Now, Air was one of the most interestingly developed rides from a guest standpoint, because Alton Towers really didn't push the secrecy of this ride. They were all out. They had models of it in Towers Trading, and they even encouraged people to look through the construction fences. And I think that's what a coaster should really be, that build up more excitement rather than just being like, oh yeah, you're not allowed to see this, sorry. It would not really make people really that excited, but obviously with Air, it was a really interesting concept. Obviously it was a flying coaster, obviously it was designed once again by John Wardley, and you know, people were excited. Obviously it was the addition of another secret weapon to Alton Towers, as well as a new interesting world's first element. So obviously this was really well received. Air was, you know, one of the best coasters people had ridden. It was more well received than Oblivion, because obviously no one likes Oblivion because it's so short, but like I said, in my eyes, I think that's quite cool. But to be quite honest, it had a nice little lifetime until we got to near 2016. Now this is when obviously it got turned into Galactica. Instead of it being called another secret weapon, they just, you know, kept it the same. Obviously it was just a retheme. This obviously showed the fact that they were going to add virtual reality, add a space theme, and that is what you see at Alton Towers today. Obviously most of the tracks stayed the same, most of the cars stayed the same. It was basically just a repaint and a retheme. Now obviously VR had been taken out this year for Galactica, so whether or not they're going to call it Air again or not is a very, very different, you know, side of the boat. So I did do a little video on that a couple of weeks ago, so definitely go check that out if you haven't already. That is really interesting, because I go deep into what could happen with Galactica in the future. But to be quite honest, as it stands, Galactica is a pretty decent ride. It still holds up. Obviously it's still got a really unique element to it, the fact that you're pretty much laying down when you're on the coaster, and it really does hold a good place in Alton Towers. Okay, so Secret Weapon 6, also known as 13, is another very interesting development. It was more on Merlin's side, hyping it up too much again. And obviously it was one of the most interesting elements in the park. Obviously the coaster still holds up, like I said today. All these coasters are still here, obviously except for 1 and 2. But yeah, it had this really interesting drop element, I mean. I'm not getting too interested in Oblivion there. So obviously it was a really interesting concept, the fact that the train would go in and the track would drop. Now originally the developers wanted the track to sort of sway side to side as it was moving, but obviously they settled on the fact that it would drop down. Now you can see this sort of element incorporated in new rides, such as the new Hagrid ride in Universal. This has an element like this, and you know, was generally a decent ride if they hadn't hyped it up so much. Now I know I did say in the last one saying it's good to hype things up, but the way Merlin did it really didn't make any sense. They were marketing it to be the most scariest ride in the world. They were saying, oh, you have to sign a waiver before you go on, you have to be over 13. All that, you know, lying and crap and stuff, and obviously when it came out, none of that stuff was true. And they said that, oh, it's going to be so scary, this element is going to make it the scariest ride in the UK, which it didn't. Obviously I'm not saying it's not the worst ride in the world, it's not the best either, but it's just in that nice little grey area where it's, you know, enjoyable to ride. So for me, 13 isn't the best ride, like I said, Alton Towers, but to be quite honest, its world's first theme isn't too bad. Obviously, it's only a bit subtle, it's not like a huge thing, and was tried to keep secret when it originally opened, but obviously Preston threw that right out the window with some stupid, you know, morning TV show, stupid filming skits and stuff. And you know, it really wasn't treated very well, and it wasn't treated the way it should have been. If they'd announced it saying what it actually was, instead of making it out to be, you know, the best ride in the world and it being the most scariest ride in the world, I feel like it would have done a lot more successfully, and I feel like there will be a lot more guests lining up to queue for it today. Okay, so it's now time to go on to one of the most controversial and one of the most tragic coasters that Alton Towers have ever built, and that is the Smiler. Now, as it stands, the Smiler is a brilliant ride. I really enjoy the Smiler, but the history behind it really isn't that great. It does not do any favours, to be quite honest. Now, the Smiler was built on the former site of the Black Hole, and obviously there was a lot of rumours of what it would be. Obviously there was leaked concept art for a spider structure, obviously, which becomes the giggler and all the other stuff that, you know, things to make you laugh while you're on the ride. Now, Smiler, obviously it was delayed quite a bit. It was not that long after 13 that this was made. It was only a couple of years. You know, Thorpe Park take notes from Alton Towers at this point. So we saw the construction of this ride. It got a lot of people excited, and it was obviously the current world record holder for the most loops, having 14 inversions, which is really interesting and did build a lot of crowds back when it opened. But unfortunately there was an extremely tragic accident that occurred with this ride, and it really didn't do it any favours. Obviously it was closed for a year and then reopened the next season, because obviously a lot of people almost lost their lives and was lucky to come out of it, you know, alive. They obviously had to have their legs amputated, and it was a really horrific situation, and I'm not going to go deep into it because it's horrible to talk about. Obviously it's probably the safest ride to go on now, ironically, because obviously they've got more safety procedures in the situation at this point, and I feel like that it still holds a really good ride at Alton Towers, and I really think that people shouldn't be dodging it no more, because it's probably one of the safest rides, like I said. So this ride really didn't have a lot of stick behind it, but obviously we did get a Scare Maze theme to this ride that was opened a couple of Scarefests prior, and that was the Sanctuary, and it just basically told you the backstory of the ride and what the Ministry of Joy was. And you know, I never got to experience this because I don't go to Scarefest because it's like this far away. It's like 3 hours away. I'm more of a Fright Nights person myself, but to be quite honest, it was a really good idea to incorporate Scare Maze, especially when the ride was being delayed, and there was a lot of people getting tetchy because a lot of people booked hotels and stuff so that they'd get onto the ride on opening day, and it just didn't open. So that was probably one of the most awkward parts for, you know, Alton Towers sort of scratching the back of their head saying, fine, give you a refund. But obviously the accident was the thing that really made this more controversial than anything. And it is really good ride, so if you do visit Alton Towers, definitely give it a go, because do not be scared of it at all, because it's the safest ride there in my opinion. Okay, so now talking about our last secret weapon, which is also the most recent, we're going to be talking about Wickerman. Now, Wickerman opened in 2018, started construction a couple of years prior. Obviously this was situated on the site where the old log flume used to be, and basically it's themed around a cult. You know, they're having a ritual to try and get this demon out of the woods, the Wicker Man. And it's a really interesting concept in my eyes, and it's my second favourite coaster there, which also is ironically my second favourite coaster in the world. It's got a really cool element mixing wood with fire, not in a dangerous way, just making it look like wood with the structure being kind of metal mostly. And it is really interesting and fun experience. Obviously it's one of the more family friendly, leaning towards rides, obviously having a height of 1.3 or 2, I don't think I had 1.3 today. It is a really interesting ride, and I do really like this. I did get to ride it last year, and I cannot wait to ride it again this year, because obviously I only get to go on an annual trip to Alton Towers. Like I said, it's like 3 hours away. But yeah, it is really one of the best coasters there. It has a really unique element, much like all the secret weapons. That's more of a trademark for secret weapons now, to have like a world's first. And it is a really enjoyable ride. Obviously this didn't really have any problems. Being the coaster after the Smiler, a lot of people were sceptical as soon as they said that it was going to mix wood with fire, but a lot of people were glad. Everyone in the comment section of Twitter was a pyrotechnic specialist, because a lot of people didn't know what they were talking about. It's like, oh, that sounds dangerous, when, like I said, Alton Towers is probably the safest part to be at this point. So that comes to the end of today's video. I didn't really want to make this too long, because I know I'd go on a bit of a ramble. The video has taken a long time to make. It's taken nearly a full afternoon. So I hope you guys did enjoy. If you even got to this point, definitely like and subscribe, because if you did get to this point, I'm pretty sure you'll like my other content, so definitely check that out, and I'll see you guys later.